Hi everyone, Anthony Fantano here, internet's busiest music nerd, here to do the segment on this channel that feels most like public service, Why You Know Review, hosted by Kayo.
Thank you, Anthony. Kayo here, roommate of the internet's nerd, who is busy, and we in Why You Know Review ask Anthony why he has seemed to not review a certain number of artists who were probably pretty well deserving. So to start this questionnaire forum, Why You Know Review the new Ashras Pasta Jazz.
Yeah, that new Roth mixtape, Pabst and Jazz. It seemed a lot of people were really genuinely excited over this mixtape. Genuinely excited over Roth kind of evolving himself into something that's a little more underground hip-hop friendly. And I'm happy that he's relying on his mic skills a little bit more now than he is his kind of white college kid shtick. And it seems like he's getting a lot of respect from his peers too, from the really nice features on this mixtape. Chuck English is on here, Action Bronson, Pac Div, Chip the Ripper 2, and Blue. And kind of speaking of Blue, how Roth has kind of evolved, he reminds me of Blue a little bit now, more than he ever has. Just kind of laid back, relying a lot more on the rhymes to kind of carry the playful attitude of these songs. But in comparison with Blue and just all MCs, Roth doesn't really say much that gets my gears turning in my brain. There are lots of really kind of quirky suburban culture references throughout this mixtape, like Stickly, for example, but this tape overall is just not blowing my mind. I think it's okay, and a lot of the beats production from Blended Babies on this thing is pretty good. So yeah, I'm just pretty much on the fence with the tape.
Okay, I'll let you have that decision. Alright, Why You Know Review the new Kayo Dot Grammar Knives. Grammar Knives.
Yeah, that new Kayo Dot LP, Gamma Knife. If you're not familiar with these guys, they're a rock band that combines elements of chamber music, jazz, metal, avant-garde, and progressive rock. And I wasn't that into their last LP, and I was hoping this new album would kind of, give me a new reason to be excited over them, but that just didn't happen. And I feel like this LP is well-intentioned. It tries to be experimental. It tries to be out there. I definitely like the intro track that has these really beautifully layered strings, really well put together, and that song just really gets my ears watering for what's gonna come next. And then the album just goes downhill fast, in my opinion. Most of the remaining tracks on this LP are so messily put together, messily mixed, messily recorded. It's difficult making heads or tails of some of these songs, especially the second track, which is just unintelligible. It's extremely difficult to decipher, and I'm sure with repeated listens I could, but there's nothing about it sound-wise or writing-wise that's really hitting me as saying, hey, you know what, you need to dig deeper into this. There are all these really cool nooks and crannies below all this fuzz and noise. When this album gets loud, all the sounds just kind of drown each other out. They don't create this one rush of exciting volume. This LP is just kind of lo-fi, and not even really lo-fi in an interesting or noisy or kind of challenging way. It just kind of comes off as bland, kind of dull. Even though I wasn't into this LP, there are some bright spots, some shots of horns, some really intense drum playing here and there, but the mix, the recording, just makes it feel like a demo most of the time, just not fully realized.
Well, that's weird because I know you're experimental. It's not experimental enough, but alright, I know you like hip-hop, and you didn't review this album. Come on, Believe in the dream.
Sometimes I really think you're joking. Or I hope you're joking. Yeah, Common, the dreamer, the believer. A lot of people have asked me, hey, Anthony, why haven't you reviewed this album from one of hip-hop's most revered figures? The mastermind behind such hip-hop classics as B, Resurrection, and Like Water for Chocolate. Partially it was because this LP came out at the end of the year, in December. Partially it was because this album kind of came out in the midst of me reviewing a bunch of classic albums during the week when I might have had a chance to review it. But it was mostly because I wasn't into it. I feel like this LP is better than Common's last album, which kind of had these beats that took a turn for a more electronic sound that did not sit well with a lot of people. The instrumentals on here, in contrast, are much more jazzy, soulful, a lot of hard-edged beats, more what you would expect from a Common album. But the biggest reason I listen to Common is not his instrumentals. It's his thought-provoking lyricism. We know that's why he's such a great hip-hop figure. We know that's why he has had so much staying power as an MC. But I don't feel like this album offers that poignant or thought-provoking lyricism up. A lot of songs on here were just kind of obsessed with Common's celebrity status. Kind of braggadocious, which isn't bad in principle, but it's just not a suit I see fitting Common all that well. And there are some songs on here like Sweet that are so aggressive and in your face, it actually became kind of funny. Hearing Common rap about how he's real hip-hop and telling other people, yeah, fuck, it was just really over the top and kind of ridiculous. And the mere fact that Common is kind of beefing with Drake, to me, kind of shows how far he's fallen status-wise, because why would Drake even register on Common's radar? I know that they're both hip-hop artists, but they're not even playing the game the same way. Seeing Common call out Drake is like seeing a basketball player call out a golfer. I thought the intro to this LP was pretty amazing, with some poetry, some spoken word from Maya Angelou talking about fixing the future with dreams, with brighter dreams, bigger dreams, more hope. But the second track, Ghetto Dreams, doesn't really dream all that bright at all. It's the dream of getting with a really hot woman who's going to take care of the kids, cook, and want to have sex a lot. Apparently these bright dreams don't apply to females. Overall, I just kind of felt like this rawer and more aggressive side of Common was kind of generic and not believable.
Okay, your opinion. All right, why you know review, enter Zachary. Flashy colors.
Yeah, enter Shikari, a flash flood of color. I got a surprisingly large amount of requests for this album. I had no clue there were so many fans of this band sort of watching what I do. Yeah, wasn't into this LP, sadly. They're an English band that combines elements of metalcore, post-hardcore, and electronica. This is their third LP working with this sound too, and in my opinion the whole thing is just really kinda tacky. There are some heavy synths on here that kind of remind me of dubstep at times, some beats that remind me of drum and bass or breakcore. But even with these elements, these tracks aren't really all that different from your run-of-the-mill metalcore or post-hardcore. It's just that they're surrounded by these electronic beats and build-ups that occasionally make these songs kind of flow like an electro song. I feel like metal and electronics can and have worked together really well in the past, but the way these guys do it is akin to how Linkin Park combines metal and hip-hop. They might as well be dipping french fries into strawberry jam or something. Some of the electronic sounds on this LP are decent, but the metalcore and post-hardcore side of things just feels kind of thrown together and unimaginative.
Alright, okay, let's wrap it up here. Last one. Why you no review the crasses to double crest? Double.
Yeah, the new Crosses EP. A lot of people are kind of freaking out a bit as to why I haven't reviewed either of the two EPs to drop from this new kind of electronica and alternative rock project fronted by Chino Moreno of the Deftones. You know, the first EP, I felt like it had some pretty decent songs on there, although the electronics on there felt kind of, I guess, generic. I felt like this new EP had a little bit more variety. The first track kind of comes through with an alternative rock sound, some pretty heavy guitars, and the electronics on the following tracks felt a little richer. But overall, this EP to me just kind of ends up sounding like Deftones style songwriting with new wave instrumentation. I think it's something that's really only going to appeal to Chino fans. I'm sure some people will hear the really kind of paced and slow songs that these guys pull together on here and see them as passionate, but in my opinion, they just kind of drag on. I don't think it's that moody or that dark or that brooding. There's just nothing emotionally about these songs that really appeal to me. Sorry.
Excuse me.
There is a link to a blog post on theneedledrop.com below this video doing a series of short reviews on other albums that I actually was not able to review this past month. Those are going to kind of come up on the screen right now. Listen, you really need to get your act together because you're really terrible at this.
I'm trying my hardest here, right?
I don't want an excuse. We're trying to be sort of semi, sort of maybe, possibly professional here, and you're the weak link in the chain at the moment.
You know, maybe if I had a little positivity coming from this direction,
well,
everything would be a lot better. Come together a lot smoother. Smoother sailing through the ships. You know, they say a boat, whatever floats your boat. Forever.